Our next honoree, Joycelyn Spight Roache, is Vice President, Commercial Relationship Manager, and Lead Underwriter at Old Point National Bank. Active in the community, she is immediate past chair of the Board of Directors of the United Way of the Virginia Peninsula and serves on the board of the Peninsula Industrial Finance Corporation, Versability Resources, Inc., and the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities. Joycelyn previously served 2 terms as chair of the Board of Directors of the Virginia Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, and she's a past president of the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank Board. Now in her own words, 2021 Humanitarian Award recipient, Joycelyn Spight Roache.
Hi, Joycelyn. What motivates you to get involved?
There's a Bible verse that I read. I'm very active in my faith, and it's 1 Peter 4:8, and it says that we should most importantly love one another because love covers a multitude of sins. Well, I took that to mean that we should have compassion for one another, and if we have compassion for one another, we'll do whatever we can to help them. So as I got to be an adult, it was also a who motivated me, and that was my parents. As I was growing up, my parents modeled giving to both me and my brothers, and I don't even think they tried to do that. And I'll give you an example. I grew up in Chicago, and of course we're famous for snow. And I remember many times my dad would get up early before he had to leave and drive his 45-minute commute to his job, and he would plow all of the sidewalks in our neighborhood just so that folks could walk to the bus stop safely. My mom was a teacher, and she invested heavily in her students and even on her personal time. I remember her volunteering at the church. I remember her organizing trips downtown to the theaters for her students so that they could experience something outside of their norm. I usually got to go along with them. That was an added bonus. And I know that she even paid for some of her students to go to their prom because they didn't have the money to do it. So I learned, after I got to be an adult, my parents didn't do any of that for recognition. They did it because they saw a need and they stepped up to meet the challenge. I wanted to live like they did.
What are some organizations that you're passionate about?
I'll start with the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank, and my reason for that is no one should be hungry. It's just that simple. The United Way of the Virginia Peninsula, because no one should be without basic services. There is the Downtown Hampton Child Development Center, simply because I feel if we can educate and nurture the whole child early on in life, we will have fewer broken adults. There is the Versability Resources here in Hampton, and that's because I feel if someone wants to work, they should be able to do that, regardless of any disability they may have. And obviously the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities, because we all have to live together in this society and we should revel in our differences.
Tell us about the challenges you experienced as chair of the United Way last year.
When the pandemic hit, we had to suddenly pivot from an organization that was looking to serve the working poor to one that was providing emergency relief to people that were suddenly affected by school closures and business closures and losses of jobs. We were able to establish the Coronavirus Emergency Fund, and the people in this community gave all that they could. The United Way worked tirelessly. We were able to collect the funds and deploy them back into the community in record time. Over 5,000 families were helped at a time where they really needed the help, and I'm really pleased to have been a part of that effort.
Have you learned any lessons during your work towards increasing inclusion in the community?
One lesson is it's work that, as you know, it is necessary, it continues. I'm finding that although folks really have the belief that they are inclusive, I hear the term colorblind used a lot. I find that that's really not always the case. And I don't think it comes from a place of maliciousness. I just think it comes from the fact that exclusiveness is kind of woven into our society. And it's an uncomfortable topic for folks, but it is something that we have to push back against, and we have to work to make sure that we're including everyone in our conversations and in our daily lives.